Hello and welcome. Today I'm adding Orebody, Binder's Tale from the Indie Heroes Collection 3 to my ever-growing list where I rank every Evercade game ever. As it's on the Indie Heroes Collection, it's safe to say there's no nostalgia for this game, as it's a modern indie release, one that was developed in NES Maker. It is just one game in a larger universal series of games, but this is the only one I've played. There is a story to it, which there's a lot of text in this game. At the beginning, you're skipping through pages and pages of text. There is a whole world thing here, and it's doing a lot of world building. But honestly, I didn't care. I wanted to get into the action. It's not the sort of game where I care for the story. But if you're into that sort of thing, well, it's there. There is also text before bosses and between levels and things like that. I mean, I've got to admit, I did read it when I played through it the first time, but I can't recall what the story was. It went in one ear and out the other. Anyway, let's do the usual thing, and I'll start off talking about the
graphics.
And to best sum up the graphics, I would describe them as middling. Both the backgrounds and the environments look okay, but it does have a sort of a cluttered look to it, with colours and characters blending in a little bit, occasionally making it hard to tell what's what. It's not terrible for it, and you can learn to pass it, but there's certainly nothing I would call amazing or exceptional, although some of the bosses are quite large, they do look quite impressive. But overall, I'd say the overall look of it is perhaps below average for an NES game.
Sound and music.
The sound effects are generally okay, although a few of them, such as one of the weapons, I think it was the boomerang, sounds quite harsh and shrill, so they're not the most appealing sound effects. I think the music does better. The tunes are quite good. I wouldn't say they're exceptional, but they suit the action and carry it quite well. But even now, not long after having played it to capture the footage, I can't remember how any of them sound. I had to bring up the video footage to remind myself what the music was like, so not very memorable, but decent enough.
Gameplay.
On the surface, Orebody Binder's Tale is a very Mega Man-like game. It was also pitched as being NES hard, and there is a few different difficulty levels which dictate how many lives you start with and so on, and there's a boss rush mode. On easy, it's very forgiving with the amount of lives you have, and initially isn't that difficult at all, but that does soon change, and later bosses are very much bullet sponges. Not to mention the controls and hit detection are, well, they feel a little bit off. When you start playing the game, you can jump, you can shoot, and you can shoot upwards, and that's it. Although you'll soon pick up some other weapons, and you'll get power-up drops every so often which will switch your weapon out between a basic shot, a double shot where one goes at a 45-degree angle, and a boomerang, and so on. You also get a slide ability somewhere along the line. And the core elements of the gameplay are okay, your character controls well enough, and despite the slight issues with the hitboxes and things, it's generally okay. But the design does fall short. The enemy AI routines aren't particularly complex, which isn't necessarily a problem, but the enemy placement and layouts of the levels don't really do anything to make it interesting. In fact, the levels feel rather dull and lifeless for the most part. Although there are spots, and certainly later on in the game, avoiding enemy shots and their placements requires some precision timing, but not in a way that makes it more exciting to play. It just makes it more challenging, or rather more irritating to play.
Overall opinion.
As you can no doubt tell by now, I'm not a huge fan of this game. It is functional, it's not the worst thing I've ever played, and I can appreciate the lengths they've gone to with the storytelling and world building, even if the delivery was rather dry and made me struggle to engage with it. And the game does have a number of shortcomings, as I mentioned, but it is an indie game made by what I believe are fairly amateur developers, or inexperienced developers. Amateur sounds a bit harsh, doesn't it? Anyway, making a game is hard, and they've made an admirable effort even if the end result wasn't particularly great. And I think it's just about worth a playthrough, even if it does involve you abusing save states just to see it through. But I don't see too many people coming back to really master the game, even though the devs clearly wanted to do that, which is why they include the higher difficulty modes and the boss rush. As far as your sort of homebrew goes and NES Maker games go, it's okay, but it certainly doesn't compete with the classics of the NES library. And being so heavily inspired by Mega Man, it does come off looking quite weak in comparison.
Ranking.
To place Orebody Binder's Tale on my ever-growing list where I rank every Evercade game ever, I'm putting it above Pinball for the Intellivision, but below Flap Happy, which places it at 300 out of 426 games that I've ranked so far. Anyway, I think that's everything for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.